What's up, everybody? It's your boy Dynamic Dan back again with another reaction video. This time, we're doing something a little different. I'm reacting to some gaming news that's happened recently because I want to try out some other things to see what you guys like or don't like. So if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It would help notify me that you guys want more of this content, and I'll keep doing it. If you guys don't, I'll try something else. Anyways, video we're going to be reacting to is the Concord news that broke a little while ago. All I've seen are headlines, and apparently it cost $400 million to make Concord. So we're going to watch the original video that broke the news so I can get a full context of this because I'm really interested. But before we do, like I said before, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to reach a goal of 1,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year. If you want any more of my content, you want to hear any more of my beautiful voice or see my amazingly sexy face, you could also follow me or subscribe to my gaming channel. It's linked in the description down below. There you'll find me just playing video games, some fun videos of like solo plays or VODs from live streams. So you can check me out there, as well as my Twitch. I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so you can catch me live there sometime, and we can hang out and just be bros and be chilling together. But yeah, anyways, let's jump right in.
I want to talk about Concord. I wasn't going to ever talk about this game again.
I'm so tired of hearing about Concord. I am. I'm tired of people being upset and pissed about it. I don't want to ever hear talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows again once it releases, or Star Wars Outlaws. It's just all this like negative news going on, and I understand why people are upset about it or pissed about it or don't like it. I can understand that. Most of the games that have been coming out that are AAA or have big budgets, I haven't been that interested in, so I didn't play it. Like with Concord, I didn't play it because when I saw it, I'm like, oh, I can go play Overwatch, and I have hundreds of hours in there when it first came out. Loved the game. I can go play that for free. I don't have to pay $40 and then play the game. Overwatch is just better than Concord was, evidently, because it's still around. But yeah, I'm so tired of hearing all these games. So I'm with Colin on that. I don't want to hear any more talk about this after this video.
Because who really gives a shit? However,
yeah,
and I don't do journalism really anymore, as you guys know, and we talk about this a lot. I was a journalist at one time, and I used to break a lot of stories. And these days,
yeah, he's from IGN. Like I remember him from there.
The stories that I break these days are usually always people coming to me. And someone who worked on Concord reached out to me. And I verified who this person was and went through all of that and talked to this person extensively.
So it was either a developer or a marketing guy or somebody who knows the cost and probably has been around since day one or close to day one, if he knows how much cost it was. Interesting. I wonder who it could be.
For a long time. Ooh. And got some, I think, interesting information that I can share about Concord. I think people will be interested about it. The reason that I wanted to talk about it is because some of the assumptions that I had made about the game were dead wrong as far as how much it cost and how much Sony really lost on it. So the big thing that you really need to know here about this is that Concord cost about $400 million to make.
Fuck, dude. Oh that is disturbing. That is terrifying. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight on how much games cost, GTA 5, that game was a blockbuster. That cost about $265 million to make. That's just purely making the game. I don't think it was with advertising. It might have been, but $265 million for GTA 5. One of the most successful video games of all time. I was looking at a list of most expensive video games ever made. Genshin Impact was close to about $100 million for its initial development time, and then annually it costs $200 million to run. They make bank, so it's okay for that type of burn rate for them. But this is what we're talking about. This game was more expensive to make than GTA 5. which blows my mind. And I'm so curious on what GTA 6 is going to be reported to cost when it finally comes out. But I think the reason we were talking about like 200 million or something like that is because that's what most first-party Sony games cost to make, from what we've seen by leaked documents or the Insomniac hack. Uh, it was just cost on average about 200 million to 300 million to make a Sony game. And they're like beautiful first quality games, amazing stories, amazing graphics, amazing everything. There's a reason why during the PS4 generation it stomped Xbox like crazy. But yeah, that just put in perspective. This game costs more than GTA 5 to make, which is insane to me.
The story goes that Concord, by the time Concord was, so in the first quarter of 2023, Concord had basically entered an alpha state. This was before Sony had even purchased the team, but Sony had been working with Probably Monsters, and which was the original owner of Firewalk and Firewalk, probably since late 2020, maybe 2021 at the latest on Concord. The game was in development before that. Up to the point that the game went into alpha state, they had already spent about $200 million on it.
Holy shit.
It's unclear.
Just to get to an alpha state, $200 million? My God, dude. Oh my God. That. Just to get it to like a minimum product that you would sell on like Steam Greenlight, $200 million. Oh, I want to throw up. That's insane.
Clear how much of that money is from Probably Monsters and the original investors into the game, and how much of that money was from Sony.
Okay.
There's this term in product development, not only with games, but really with everything. You can like manufacture a tchotchke. You guys might have heard of it. It's called minimum viability, or a minimum viable product. Mm-hmm. The idea behind this, or MVP, the idea behind this is that this is like what you're trying to achieve. And it's like, once you cross this barrier, you feel comfortable selling it. It's not that it's the best it can be, or that it's what it's going to be by the time you launch it, because there's all sorts of extra stuff you do to it. But like, this is the minimum viability.
Okay, so it makes me think of like games on Steam that release in early access. Like they feel comfortable selling it, but they're going to add more to it and things like that. This is like the bare minimum product that we feel comfortable selling, and that helps like developers on Steam, like indie developers, get going. Is like start having some extra funding to keep the project alive, pay for assets and all that. So that's how I think of it. That's how I'm like interpreting what he's saying. Is like that's the minimum viable product, is just like Steam Greenlight or Steam Early Access. Okay.
Of the product. When the game had already had $200 million spent on it and was basically in an alpha form in quarter one of 2023, from that point until the game launched, Sony spent another $200 million on it.
Hold up. Quarter 3 or 4. He said quarter 3, I think, of 2023. So they spent another 200 million in roughly a little less than a year. Oh my God. Dude, are you serious? $200 million in the course of a year, because it came out this year. So it was in an alpha state last like late summer, early fall. They spent another 200 million to have it released back in August of 2024. My God. Oh, that's disgusting how much money they threw into this project.
Scuttlebutt behind the scenes about Concord is that the game was in a laughable shape.
I don't even want to know what it looked like
when it was shown.
Point.
And basically like
what did it look
when
like
the
at that
alpha
point?
was ready to go, and they were kind of being like, we're ready to kind of get moving towards getting this thing out in the next year or two. It was in such horrible shape that Sony felt like they needed to spend that much money again. So, 200 plus 200 to get the.
At some point, when do you just say, this is not working? Like, dude, you should have just called it quits at the 200 million and take like the tax write-off on it or something. They should have never bought the studio. They should have never done that. Because if you felt the need to spend another 200 million on it, it's like the sunk cost fallacy. It's like, well, we're doing this already, so let's just keep throwing money into it, even though it's not working. Oh my god, man, that's an that's that's horrible. That's insane. What a waste of money.
Game to the MVP status, not to the status of it being like a great game, to get it to just viability.
They didn't feel comfortable selling it yet. So that's what he's talking about. Is like they felt like they needed a $200 million more to get it to a point where they're comfortable selling it, but not being amazing. Okay.
And that at that time in Q1 2023, there was nothing done. Like a major expense was having to urgently outsource much of the game to other studios to finish building the game out.
I wonder how many studios they roped in and people to spend $200 million to finish the game in a year. A little less than a year to get it to like sell it. I wonder how many studios they roped in. Wow.
2 fundamental things were not worked on at all up to the point in which the game was shown in alpha.
What are the fundamental things?
Onboarding. Nothing about that. No, like there was nothing about how players get on, like how they make their character, all that kind of stuff, or, choose their character and get there, and monetization. 2 very expensive, very specific and boutique things that happen.
Okay, so they didn't work on the starting of the player, how they get introduced, how they choose the characters, how they like interact with the game getting started, or change characters in mid game. They didn't even work on that yet. And monetization, they didn't have monetization figured out until like that close to launch. Wow. I could see why you'd spend $200 million. That's a lot of assets and development time to put into there, especially if it's a live service game. Like, how you keep it live is people buy the cosmetics or the battle pass. The people spend money on the game, and it's generally free, but they also put a $40 price tag on it. Jesus.
Happen to games like this. And so that's the first thing that I wanted to say, is that it's not only about the ongoing cost, which would be in the millions to keep the game going per month.
Yeah. Like I said before, it costs $200 million yearly for Genshin Impact's continual development and running. Bear in mind that company brings in like $1 billion a year now in profit, so they cover their costs, but or they seem to. But yeah, running a live service is not a cheap thing. So you gotta spend a shit ton of money, and you're hoping it's a golden goose. I think they really lucked out with Helldivers, and that has skewed their sight of how it's supposed to work, right? How live services work, because it was such a smash hit at the $40, plus like reasonable like microtransactions, like actually micro, that it was so good. People loved it. I think Concord was a massive miss, though, just massive.
But that the game cost about $400 million to make, soup to nuts. Sony put most of that money in, and it is not only so, because we had kind of said like this must be Sony's biggest loss ever on a game, and it is.
It's got to be.
It's the biggest game Sony's ever released from a budgetary standpoint, from the first party or second party.
Oh, that serious? Yeah, I guess so. I guess it is technically, isn't it? Oh my god, dude. Like God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West. The Spider-Man games were all cheaper to make and more successful than whatever this was. Hell, Astrobot was probably cheaper to make, and people love Astrobot. I really want to buy it and play it. I just haven't yet. Damn. Sony took a fat L this console generation. Nothing's made me want to buy an Xbox, but I kind of regretted buying a PS5, to be honest with you, just because there's been like no games for it. There's been no like major smash hits, and it's just because of all the live service stuff Sony's trying to do for quick money. Sad.
So let that sink in.
It's crazy,
and it's totally unintuitive. There are games that are in development right now at Sony first and second party that are more expensive than this. But as of the games that have come out so far, so think about like Spider-Man 2 and so on and so forth. We know The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million. Spider-Man 3 is going to cost about $350 million. This game costs more than that.
Jesus.
And they lost all of it. because they made no money. They made about $1 million gross revenue,
Mm-hmm.
and then they gave it all back. So this
Oh
is
yeah,
a
they
huge,
refunded it.
multiple hundreds of millions of dollars.
I respect Sony for refunding the money. A lot of companies would be like, whatever. My model isn't shrug when I shrug, but whatever. We're just going to take the money and shut down the game because it's not profitable for us. And you guys lost out. Fuck you.
Loss. Now, the question is, why? Why did this happen?
Why? Yeah. Why?
This game was...
Why did they keep spending money on a pile of shit when it was obvious to anybody, like normal people playing video games, it would fail? Like, dude, when I saw the cinematic trailer, I was genuinely kind of excited. I'm like, this seems kind of fun. Got a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy. Some designs a little weird, but this is gonna be a fun, like, narrative story game. And then they came out, oh, it's a live service hero shooter. Oh, all interest lost at that point. I was not a customer. I wasn't. I was never gonna play Concord. Even if it was free to play, I was never gonna play it. Just because I'm not the target demographic. And yeah, I think most people zoned out because when I think Sony first party games, I think first story player games, like great stories, single player action adventure games, not a live service first person shooter. I'm sorry, I just don't think that.
Heavily championed behind the scenes. Now we know this because Sony ended up... What's funny is that the game is presented in Q1 2023 as this, we're kind of getting towards the end. The game is nowhere near being done. It's in a horrible position. And then Sony buys the team. The idea behind this was, and the term apparently verbatim had been used, that Concord is the future of PlayStation.
What? Hold on. What the fuck did they say? It is the future of Sony? Nah, fuck that shit. It ain't the future. It's dead. No, Sony games are single-player action-adventure games with a good story and good gameplay mechanics. That is the future of Sony, not this bullshit live service. Like, don't get me wrong, I play live service games. I would say World of Warcraft, it's an MMO. It's a live service game at this point. I pay a monthly subscription for it. Live service. I play Genshin Impact, not Genshin Impact. I played Honkai Star Rail live service. I have a few live service games. Sony is not, their future is not in live service, man. They need to stick to what they're good at and keep bringing like awesome single player games. That's what I love them for. That's why I bought a PS4 over an Xbox One back in 2013. That's why I bought a PS5, is I thought I was going to get more of those. But no, it's dried up over the last 2-3 years. Bullshit, man. Bullshit. It's not the future of PlayStation.
That
angered me.
They had such major ambition for this game that it was referred to internally as a Star Wars-like project for Sony.
Star Wars-like? Bullshit. No, I ain't going on another rant. I ain't doing another rant.
Repeatedly revisited over and over and over again, not only in cross-media, but in what we were seeing. We've already kind of seen...
No, dude, it wasn't even Star Wars. It wasn't even Star Wars-like. It was more Guardians of the Galaxy than Star Wars-like. God, that really annoys me. That really annoys me. They were comparing it to Star Wars. They really thought this game was going to succeed. Somebody was drinking their own Kool-Aid a little too much.
Little bits of it. So the weekly story vignettes that they were going to release, and then, of course, the inclusion in Amazon's Secret Levels anthology, that's like just scratching the surface of it. Ironically, the game was codenamed Chaos behind the scenes.
It was codenamed Chaos.
A major thing about the game is that there was, and I think we can kind of get this vibe from just the nature of the people making it and kind of the way the game reads and all that, a toxic positivity vibe.
Yes.
You weren't allowed to say.
That is what I felt like watching the trailers for it. Once I figured out it was a hero shooter, I'm just like, this doesn't look great. Dude, it was such a weird thing to me that at that PlayStation live stream event that they showed off Concord for the first time, which was earlier this year, was the first time they showed it off, and then nothing else for like weeks or months of marketing, and it suddenly released to no one caring about the game. First off, horrible marketing. But more importantly, it was just full of negative feedback from everybody. Did not like Concord, and it took up a third, 10 minutes of a 30-minute presentation, it took up a third of it. And then the other games, it's like no other first party Sony games or games interesting or people are excited about. It was just straight up. It felt bad. It didn't feel good. Watching it didn't look great. The characters looked okay. The designs really weren't for me. I like the Overwatch designs way more, characters. I like the art style of Overwatch way more. And I'm comparing it to that because it's a hero shooter, man. It's a hero shooter. That was like the whole point of it. Like gameplay wise, I'm going to compare it to Overwatch. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I would rather play Overwatch than Concord. The designs looked crap. They didn't look that great. And the gameplay didn't look that much fun. And from what I heard from reviews, because a lot of the time now I wait until reviews are out to buy a video game before I spend money and play it, because I just don't have enough time to play every video game in the world. I'm a busy adult, guys. I got bills to pay, mouths to feed. But it's just bullshit. It was just crappy all over. Now I'm shitting on the game. I don't mean to shit on people's work. People spent like 8 years developing this game, and I feel bad for crapping on work that people did. But at the end of the day, it was not a good game. I don't know why Sony thought to release it or why they bought the company. Because toxic positivity, like, no, you couldn't critique or criticize like choices in the game. Yeah, you're gonna get a bad game. I don't care what game you're making, if you can't at least critique it and look at it from a unbiased point of view, or take unbiased feedback of like what players like, what they don't like, what artists are saying or feel like, if you can't like honestly be negative about some aspects of the game to help improve it, then your game's not going to get better. It's just going to be shit because you're trying to please everybody. You're not allowing for actual critique.
Anything apparently internally about this game, about how like something's wrong with it, character designs are not right, and so on and so forth. They really truly believe this was Herman Hol's baby, apparently, and he internally was himself a massive champion of the game.
I guess Herman Holst was Sony CEO, maybe.
So it's not that. So the reason I'm telling you all of this, it's some interesting information, of course, but it's that I had said, when people were like, Concord lost $200 million. Now, people were pulling that money out because that's basically how much like some of the first party games like Ghost of Tsushima,
that's what I thought,
The Last of Us Part 2, etc., kind of cost in that frame. And I was like, there's no way that it cost that much. I was saying like it cost 9 figures, probably like low $100 million, but there's no way it cost $200 million. No, it cost $400 million.
Jesus Christ.
And I am totally solid on this source, by the way. So that's why I'm willing to share it with you. Because again, I'm not really a journalist. So yeah, the big things to take away: $400 million loss. The game was in horrible shape as of 18 months ago, before release. Not even monetization, no onboarding, most content not even there. The game was in such bad shape at that point that they spent the budget of
9 months before release, did he say?
In urgent outsourcing to get the game finished from all of these different angles over an 18-month period. Internally, the game was considered part of the future of PlayStation, with heavy cross-media references and a system of toxic positivity surrounding it that
this just sounds horrible
to meaningfully change.
Sounds like a horrible
course of the
game to work on in
because
general.
if the people at the top truly believe in something, you're not going to be able to do much about that, I don't think, from the trenches.
No, you're not. There's about a little less than a minute left on this video, but I think we've heard it all, the news. Holy shit. I didn't realize Concord was in that bad of development. No wonder, like, him saying 400 million, it makes sense, because if he's saying they spent 200 million on it, like whether it's Sony or probably Monsters, the original owners of Firewalk, or what have you, if they had spent 200 million to get the game to where it was 9 months before launch, and they weren't satisfied with it, so it makes sense that in order to get it to where it needed to be in 9 months, whereas in like 6 to 8 years it took development time, they spent 200 million in like urgent rushing, like spending money like crazy to outsource it, do all the stuff it needs to do to get it done. I could definitely see another 200 million being spent in 9 months. And I would be shocked if heads do not roll at Sony or at Firewalk after this horrible like mistake, this horrible like thing that happened. If nobody's heads roll, I'd be surprised. But yeah, I just wanted to react to this video and get the full scoop straight from the source. That is insane. That is crazy. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Sacred Symbols, for reporting this information, because I would have never known, and now I never want to talk about Concord again. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about Assassin's Creed Shadow with everything going on with that. Oh, because it just makes me so sad that these beloved franchises, for some reason, keep doing dumb stuff. Star Wars Outlaws was bad. I've heard it was just boring and not great. People didn't really enjoy it. Assassin's Creed Shadows looks like it's not going to be that great of an Assassin's Creed game, and I was a huge fan of that years ago. And then Concord comes out. Like, I want games to succeed. I want to have fun. I want to play good games. I don't like hearing these stories of games failing and games not succeeding, but it's just how the market is. And to be honest with you, that's what a free market is. Some games win, some games fail. Not everybody can be winners, and that's okay. But that's gonna be me from today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.